All right, what's happening? We are back. UFC 303. This card is sick. Obviously, Conor McGregor pulled out. Before we get into that, if you guys watched our last picks for UFC Aliskerov versus Whitaker, we made 9 picks and we won on 8 of them. And unfortunately for me, the only one I bet on was the one we lost on, which was Ikram Aliskerov. Yep, I know. I bet against Whitaker, but I hit on the other 8, which I think that 8 out of 9 is 89%, I believe. So pretty much almost 90% on that card. Unfortunately, I missed on that Ikram Aliskerov card. Whitaker proved me wrong. He sure did. That's UFC, though. That's gambling. You can't hit them all, right? Hard to go 100% in this sport, man. It really is. But if we can hit around 80-90% every card, that's pretty good. So that's pretty much we've been doing. If you guys have been following me. If you guys need a place to BetUS, promo code Iceman. We got the best promos in the game. Try it out, and you will not regret that. So this week, Conor McGregor was supposed to be taking on Chandler, right? Obviously, he pulled out. And shout out to Alex Pereira. He's on vacation in Australia, got the phone call, and he stepped up. And same with Yuri. Yuri stepped up short notice. And this is the rematch. And what else is crazy is that Ortega Lopez fight. That fight is insane. Shout out to Brian Ortega for taking that fight because not too many featherweights want to take that fight. But let's get straight to it. So, as I said, this is the rematch. And, man, the fact that Pereira is only minus 170 tells you that, odds makers really might think Yuri might get this one this time. I thought he was going to be like minus 250, minus 300. But if you watch the last fight, Yuri Prohaska did not check any leg kicks at all. And he does not like to check leg kicks, and that might be an issue for him in this fight as well, unless he's working on that. But the thing is, he doesn't have much time, right, as he did take the fight on short notice. But, if you're in Yuri's coaching corner, you got to be telling this guy to check leg kicks because, that's one of Pereira's best weapons. It's that left hook and those leg kicks that he doesn't really telegraph, and you don't really see them coming, and they do a lot of damage. Crazy damage his last fight. He ate 2 of those, and you could tell Yuri started to limp right away, and that'll slow you down. But that being said, Yuri did hurt Pereira as well, so don't count out Yuri. And Yuri's a dog. That guy will kill or be killed. Now that fight was stopped early, sure. I hope they put Herb Dean or someone in here that'll really let this fight go the distance, because this is a title fight. This got a lot of title it's just a big fight, man. Just because if Yuri loses this, I don't know if he's gonna get a title shot again, right? Because if Yuri wins this, now you're talking rematch. Right now you're talking you might see this again. If Yuri wins this fight, they're going to have to do a third down the road. Whether that's right away or down the road, I don't know. It depends on how badly, let's say Pereira gets knocked out really badly, then yeah, you might not see that for a while. But if Yuri wins, mark my word, there's going to be a rubber match. But I got to go with Poatan, man. I'm not, I have a feeling this fight's going to be a striking match. I did like Yuri's when he came out in the first round in the first fight. He did take Pereira down, and I think that's going to be his key to victory. If he can take Pereira down and sub him or just get damage off on top of him, I think that's a great game plan. But Yuri's this guy's samurai, kill or be killed. He's gonna go in there and try to strike it out and try to knock Pereira out. I just have that feeling, and that's the thing. He does leave himself open to get hit, and you don't want to get hit by Alex Pereira. And so I'm gonna go with Alex Pereira on that one. But we'll see at the weigh-ins how good shape each guy's in, because it is short notice. But it's hard to bet against Pereira right now, man. It really is. I don't really want to bet against Pereira. This guy's a serial killer, man. And if he wins that fight with Yuri, I'd rather for him go to heavyweight than fight Ankalaev, because that Ankalaev fight is tough. Up next, Brian Ortega taking on Diego Lopez. Man, this fight I've been looking forward to even more than the main event. Maybe this is maybe the people's main event, just because how sick this Diego Lopez guy is. And I'm gonna go with Diego Lopez just because, man, I really want this guy to win. He's so exciting. If he wins this, you're talking title fight next, right? He's right up there for a title fight. If he can go out there and starch Ortega, finish him the way he's been doing everybody. You're talking title shot next, because, look at who Ortega's lost to. It's Max Holloway and Volkanovski. Yeah, he had a shoulder injury against Yair Rodriguez, but he came back and subbed Yair Rodriguez. So let's scratch that loss, because it was an injury. It's not like it was, ended differently. But Volkanovski and Holloway, they really tuned up Ortega. Yair Rodriguez, who's a top guy in that division, got submitted by Ortega. And, Diego Lopez is a monster, man. This guy's got jiu-jitsu. He was a guy who was, competing in combat jiu-jitsu. So he's a guy who will go out there, pull flying triangles, all that stuff. Now, should he try and flying triangle Ortega? Probably not, because that's, Ortega's game is jiu-jitsu as well. He's got very high-level jiu-jitsu. But if you're Diego Lopez, I think he might be the better striker out of the two, man. Diego Lopez is a nasty striker. And he's got, more experience than Ortega as well. Yeah, man, he's been, 3 straight first-round wins. This guy, all under, all 90 seconds. This guy's nuts. Diego Lopez is nuts. I'm going to go with Diego Lopez for sure. I might even put some money on him, man, because he's exciting. I think the UFC needs this guy, and I hope he wins, man. I really do. Diego Lopez is a savage. Anthony Smith, Roman Dolidze, that fight I don't really care too much about. Maybe Anthony Smith on that one. I'll take this fight, though. Ian Gary taking on Michael Venom Page. Ian McGregor is probably the most hated guy in the UFC. Everyone hates this guy. And Michael Page, on the other hand, he's very flashy. The guy's an incredible striker. And if you're Ian Gary, I would not go out and try to strike with Venom Page. If you're Ian Gary, the key to victory is your grappling. Try to grapple, take Michael Page down. I know Michael Page is 37, so he's going to start slowing down. But I got to say, he looked real good against Kevin Holland. And if this fight's a striking match, he's going to outstrike Ian Gary all day, 100%. And I can't stand this Ian Gary guy, so I'm taking Michael Page on this one. I hope he goes out there and knocks out Ian Gary. And he could. But Ian Gary, if you're smart, turn wrestler, turn grappler, and try to submit Michael Page, because I would not suggest going out there and trying to strike with Michael Venom Page. This guy's probably one of the best strikers in the UFC, period. I just wish he was 27 instead of, 37, but hey, it is what it is. He's been looking good. He looked good against Kevin Holland. I'll go with Michael Page on that one. It's probably a little biasy there, because I do hate Ian Machado Gary. To be honest, I don't even know why I hate him. I just can't stand his personality. I think that's what it maybe is. Let's see here. Joe Pyfer taking on Marc-Andre Bario. UFC literally said, you can tell they matched this one up, because they want Joe Pyfer to win easily. They have a little more money and hype behind him. UFC, Dana White bought this guy a house, so that says it all right there. They want to build this guy up. They thought he was going to run through Jack Hermanson, and he was doing good. He was beating up Jack Hermanson, but he gassed out. He seemed to just slow down at the end of the fight. So I'm going with, but it's a 3-rounder this one, so I think Joe Pyfer literally destroys Marc-Andre Barrio. Even though Marc-Andre is coming off a split decision loss to Chris Curtis, it was a good fight, but I think Joe Pyfer should get that one done. Cub Swanson, age 40, against a 33-year-old Andre Fili. Cub Swanson, I don't think his head's in the game anymore. I just don't think he's the same guy. Always, every interview I see with this guy, he's always complaining about something, and I just don't like it. So I'm going with Andre Fili. The young, 40 years old, that's tough. If Cub Swanson was 33 and Fili was 33, then I might take Cub. But age 40 in the UFC, post USADA, or when they're actually drug testing, it's tough. Charles Air Jourdain taking on Gene Silva. Charles Air Jourdain, this guy's been looking good, man. His last fight, he did lose a split decision to Sean Woodson. Some people thought he won. Some people thought he lost. But, he had a big win over Cron Gracie and Ricardo Ramos. Now he's taking on Gene Silva, who's, he's only had 2 fights in the UFC against guys, one guy was on the Contender Series, the Kevin Vallejos. And Weston Wilson, who I don't really know, he's horrible record, and he beat him in the first round. I'm gonna go with Charles Air Jourdain just because of the experience factor. He's been looking good too. Other than that Sean Woodson performance, before that he's been looking really good. Peyton Talbot, holy, minus 2,000 here against Giannis. Dang, that's pretty wild. Andrei Arlovsky taking on Martin Buday. Andrei Arlovsky, age 45. Jesus. Is that the oldest guy on the UFC roster? I think so. Still doing it, but you got to go with the younger Martin Buday. Shout out to Andre, though, still doing the damn thing. Ray Sasura. This guy's like a crazy Japanese kid, wrestler, 22 years old. His wrestling's phenomenal. At age 22, he's going to absolutely destroy Carlos Hernandez. And this is interesting. Ricky Simone, surprising. He's, first fight on the early prelims. It's a little disrespectful for a guy like Ricky Simone, who's, fought everybody. He's got wins over, Ray Borg, beat Brian Kelleher, beat Asansao, beat Jack Shore. He lost to Yadong Song and Mario Bautista his last fight. But, he's a guy who's fought some, and, check this out. He beat Merab Dvalishvili. Not many guys, could say that because, Merab's an absolute savage. But, yeah, man, Ricky Simone should get it done. This Vinicius Oliveira, crazy Brazilian, been killing it, but just doesn't have, it's his second fight in the UFC. He had 1 fight on the Contender Series. It's going to be tough fighting a guy like Ricky Simone who's fought everybody, man. Ricky Simone has been there with all the top guys. So I'll go with Ricky Simone on that one. If you guys need a place to bet, BetUS, promo code Iceman. Let's make those picks. Hopefully I'll post my bet coming up here in the next few days here. I sort of want to watch the weigh-in first to see how Yuri and Poatan both look. And, out.